Is there enough farmland globally to feed everyone sustainably going forward? I don't know. The answer is maybe. But what I can tell you is 12% of the Earth's non-glaciated land surface is in crops. About 30% is in forage used to a various degree. So we have to be careful. Now, cities used to source most of their food in their hinterland, but now they threaten that hinterland with expansion. So in the 60s, Vancouver actually spurred the creation of a provincial land reserve, which is what I study these days. And you can see why. Here's my study region. We're sitting up in the mountains above it, so it's surrounded by mountains, the Salish Sea, and also the border, and the Americans don't let us use that bit. So in 1974, the province protected a big chunk of the province's farmland. So my team makes maps. Here's one of them. The green part is agricultural land reserve. The pink parts are exclusions, places where land has leaked away for urban development or business. So as you can see over time, over 40 years, our farming ability is slowly decreasing. Now in this close-up of the delta mouth, you can see a variety of exclusions. Some are residential, some are for industry. This is the major port for Canada, for the Pacific Rim. And also, you'll notice a hash area there. That's actually an indigenous nation, and it's just marked, so it's outside the boundaries. Now, our team found something interesting. Secondary laws within municipalities matter. Surrey, which is closer to the city, has lost very little land. They're very farmland positive. Langley, it's highly fragmented. They've lost a lot of land. And that fragmentation creates edges, and in my business, edges are bad. Now, here's my pretty picture of farmland that lets me catch up. And you know, the sad thing is I realized after listening to Eric's talk, this piece of farmland is in the delta mouth. It's below sea level, so it'll probably be growing fish. And so one of the things we're going to lose is we have to do a controlled retreat in Vancouver. Now, I said edges were bad. This is a place where housing and farm comes together. Residents complain about noise, dust, and smell. Farmers complain about trespassing and about moving their equipment around. So we're always trying to limit that edge and do what we call armoring to protect it so it doesn't leak away. We're also having a big problem with hobby farms. Now, I like horses as much as the next person, but farm gate receipts plunge when horse country comes in, and it doesn't tend to reverse. So that's a huge problem here, is food production is going down, horses are going up, and we don't eat the horses. Now, not all bad. If you live near a city, you have a big market. This is a farm market. It is called the Yellow Barn. We're into literalism in farm country. And it's a place where we have a dialectic between the city and the country. Urbanites stop here. They get to know their farmland mainly by eating it. Also, being near to a research university is handy. This is a cranberry trial field, and they're actually looking at different flowering types to pick a cranberry that flowers at the right time for our bees. So having big research universities nearby is useful for farmers. Also, varietals. These purple artichokes were grown on a farm fairly near my university and were snapped up by chefs in the city looking for something different. So the city provides a ready market. If these are popular, we can then scale up and export. We're an export region, by the way. Most of our ag is quite big. Now, in case anyone's homesick, I've slipped in a few slides of the London Greenbelt just to change it up a bit. What I'm really curious about with the Greenbelt, and I actually went and walked 240 kilometers around the Greenbelt last term, so I'm in weirdly good shape for me, is that it's got a recreational component. Another slide, the Greenbelt. And we don't have that here, and we're wondering if we maybe should do it. Also, we don't have any pubs in our farmland. This is a terrible crisis that I think we need to address. Now, the city itself reflects the farmland, and this was a surprising result. We work with some urban developers, urban planners. The spoken podium Vancouverism style is partly a response to the land reserve. City can't sprawl, it has to go up. So the city reflects what we've been doing in farmland management. Also, we have a very robust farmers market kind of scene in Vancouver, and as you can see, we have many colors of carrots here in Canada, and I remember when we only had orange ones, so the urbanites have gotten used to all these carrots, and I like to tell them they'll go away if the farmland goes away. Now, part of my mandate is public outreach, which was a real learning curve for me, and we thought the maps were so pretty that we mounted them and had a gallery exhibition. This was really a learning curve. We worked with our visual arts department, and I learned, among other things, that before a gallery exhibition, they paint the walls, and you have to wait for them to dry to hang everything. But it did bring together the community. We got great feedback. This was an urban planner talking to a ministry soil scientist, and we felt it was successful, even if I had several stress breakdowns over the course of that project. What are we doing now? Well, we've actually set aside everything to work on the land crisis with real estate. Vancouver's real estate is rising exponentially. I know you all know that can't continue, but for now it is. And the problem with that is people are cashing out and buying farms and just living on them. And that's not against the rules. We don't have any way to control it, but we're worried what it's doing to supporting industries like processors and suppliers. I do want to thank my funding agency, SHIRK, for keeping my team literally in the field.
So how do municipalities get around the exclusion zone? And what I guess you are implying is it's a provincial law. So how is this legally happening?
Well, when they did the original one, they left in a clause that allowed you to remove land if you really felt it was justified. And the problem is each municipality says how it's justified. So my municipality is a farm one. We have very few exclusions. Langley, they didn't want to be a farm region, so they've allowed it to be, well, we kind of feel like it. So closing that loophole is going to be really important in the next 40 years. Next question.
Thank you. Impressive presentation. I have a question on, so how is this shrinking farmland? Is it leading to this urban mushrooming? Is it being controlled in some way through governance or through other means?
Well, we're doing our best. The land reserve does work. It slowed that sprawl down by a factor of 20 when it came in. And in 40 years, population of Vancouver doubled, and we only lost 8% of our farmland base. So we're doing really well for North America. But of course, you know, agricultural folk, we tend to think in centuries, and we're running it forward, and we don't like the numbers we're getting. So we're trying to figure out how do we do better in this next 40 years.